Okay, ladies and gentlemen, who's heard me talk before? Okay. Was I any good? All right, so I'm going to try to tie a bit of all this together. Usually I talk to you guys about things like exercise and the repetitions and the sets and the time frames and the benefits and the value and all that sort of stuff. And I will talk a little bit about that, but mostly what I'm going to talk about is trying to tie all this together that you've been hearing today. And that's why I'm going to talk to you about doing the vacuuming. Gentlemen, who does the vacuuming? Okay, are your wives happy? I would suggest so. My wife's very happy when I vacuum. Aren't you, darling? All right, so let's get going. Guy. That way. Everybody remembers Norm? Yes, yeah. Norm was very ahead of his time, actually, in a funny sort of way. When we put Norm up, we're all thinking about getting active, being more active. But the story Norm's really telling is this whole physical inactivity, sedentary behaviour, sort of endemic that we're actually experiencing worldwide at this point in time. So you can see all the typical signs. His mobile device, i.e. the old clunky telephone, positioned very close to him so he doesn't need to go anywhere. The bad habits of the soft drink or beer, probably in his case. Too much TV viewing. These are the things we're going to talk about, these sedentary markers and how bad they are for you. Oh, wrong way? Okay, other way. So we've got a lot of data around that suggests that the more sedentary we are, the more likely we are to have chronic diseases, or even worse, multiple chronic diseases. And we can see the data up there. Look at that. It's not surprising, really. The more sedentary we are, the more physically inactive, we increase our risk of cardiovascular events, stroke and diabetes by up to 50% and greater. Cancers, osteoporosis, all the things that we don't want to have in later life. These guys, Lawyer and Hindle, that this study, that data is actually taken from, suggests that once upon a time, we were active by necessity. Even guys, when you guys were kids, how many times did you walk to school? How many times did you, go out and play all day in the yard? How active were your parents to actually manage the house and do the things they needed to produce the daily affairs? So once upon a time, only 150 years ago, they suggest we did up to 26,000 steps a day by necessity. But on average, today, we do about 6,000. And that's an average across the entire planet. There's people who are doing far less than 6,000 because we are inactive by choice. So this is a typical sort of day. This is what my day really looks like in a funny sort of way. I sleep the night away, except when my children wake me up and disturb me and stuff like that. I get up in the morning, I walk the dog. My wife and I are still very in love. We've still got the Brian Herd coupling there going on. Our dog's much bigger and generally we're actually being dragged along by that. We have breakfast and then I go to work. Work involves a variety of things, but it does, whether it's travelling to work, to meetings, sitting in the office, working on the computer. It is consistently very sedentary. I nip out, I might have some lunch, or I sit down generally to have lunch. And then I don't do the vacuuming in the afternoon every day, but we'll do something. Generally, we have what we call the show, the kids' show. Starts at 5, finishes at 7. We go into this production of dinner, entertainment, clean up, make kindy lunches, put them to bed, and then we go back to sitting on the couch just going, oh my God, will it ever end? So whose day typically looks something like this? Well, you guys are all probably a mix of retirees and things like that. Yeah. But I think if a lot of you are still working, then you're probably in somewhat of this boat. For you guys, every day Sunday I hear when you're retired. So you've probably got a variety of things that go on during the day, but the important message I'm really trying to make you aware of is how much sitting time you're during that day. When we look at the breakdown, the research shows us that we're only actually mobile for about an hour to 2 hours a day. And that decreases as we age, as we become more sedentary, as we become more susceptible to disability and disease into later life. A little bit of standing, but a lot of sitting, lying, sedentary type behaviours. So going back to that though, you guys have all heard this new phenomenon that sedentary behaviour and sitting is the new smoking. That we're spending more and more time sedentary, and that's having a bigger and bigger impact on our physical health and our well-being. The data is something like for every hour of TV we watch a day, independent of our age, our profession, our stages in life, it shortens our life by 20 minutes. So think about that when you're checking into the TV this afternoon. We do know, and we've had it established for a long, long time, that the more active and the more we involve ourselves into the health lifestyle behaviours, the physical activity, the nutrition, the sleeping patterns, the not drinking too much, definitely to be defined by not drinking at all. Not drinking at all is good for you. Drinking too much is good for you. Somewhere in between is ideal, evidently. And what's the other one? Reduced levels of stress, not smoking, those sorts of things. The more we enter into those 5, 6 lifestyle behaviours, health lifestyle behaviours, the better chance we have at remaining independent into our very late life. The less we do, the more we're on a trajectory to crash towards a dependent care setting. So there's no doubt about it. Anybody want to challenge me? I'm happy to stand here and be challenged. Exercise is good for you. Are we in agreement? Yes. Very good. And there's a variety out there. There's so much out there that we can get involved in. But I'm really here to talk to you today, the fact that not enough people are actually doing it. And the little cartoon on the side says, what fits your life better, exercising for an hour a day or 24 hours a day dead? And a lot of us choose that pathway as well. A lot of us choose, we're too busy, it's too hard, all that sort of stuff. So it becomes difficult. There's a lot of barriers. We'll talk about them at the end of the talk. But in contrast, the benefits are phenomenal. It's never too late. You're never too old. You're never too sick. You're never too disabled. I was actually working in Adelaide on Friday with residential aged care providers who are putting residential aged care clients into exercise programs. Sounds insane. We go to residential aged care to die, don't we? No, we don't. We go to have a high quality later life, end of life, as best we can. And what we're seeing with these exercise programs in residential aged care is people walking, socialising, interacting, and then dropping off the perch, which is far better than fading away. So we won't talk about that in too much detail. What I want to talk to you guys about, still going, I can't forget the slide order. Jack Sparrow, where do you think Jack Sparrow comes from? Florida. Look, Jack Sparrow's got Florida written all over him, hasn't he? He's 67 years of age. So I won't talk too much about exercise, as I said. The FIT principles, the frequency, the intensity, the times and the types. It is very, very important. Getting a variety. There's no doubt about it. If you're walking, you've got to go to the gym. You've got to do some balance. You've got to do some flexibility. Like Tamara was saying about the colours in your plate, exercise also needs to be varied and diverse. And the more varieties you get, the better off you'll be into later life. The environment's important because you want it to be comfortable. You want it to be inviting. Is it outdoors? Is it indoors? Is it in your home? Is it in a clinic? The time you put into it is also a very important investment. It needs to be a set period of your day, 30 minutes at a moderate intensity or higher. The money you invest in it, a lot of it can be done for free. I could set you up on a great program you can do in your own home and you can live very well, stronger, fitter, faster, more capable by just doing some home-based exercise. If you need more guidance, you need the team environment, talk to the guys down there at Healthy Connections from Burnie Bray. The trainers is very important as well. Seek out people who know what they're talking about, not some guy who's just 20 years of age and all he understands is resistance training. Make sure he knows the age group that he's actually working with. Recovery, have a rest after you do it, for sure. Pain, my experience with older adults is they are very stoic. Who's got osteoarthritis? Yeah, I know, and you guys probably battle through it every day. So the trick with exercise and pain is your pain should never get worse. Whoever you're seeking advice from, whoever you're getting your education from, your pain should never get worse. There's no such thing as working through the pain when you're older. But it can offer you a lot of relief from your pain. We just had an 88-year-old lady finish in one of our resistance training programs, and she has had massive spinal osteoporosis for the last 10 years of her life. and massive amounts of painkillers. 24 weeks later, twice weekly resistance training. Not only is she pain-free, but she's also 4 inches taller. Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys about is physical activity. So physical activity is an umbrella term. It takes into everything that you do which is not physical inactivity and sedentary behaviours. So the stuff we're going to talk about today, the vacuuming, the gardening, all that sort of stuff, that falls into your physical activity area. So I've got a few examples: the housework, the shopping, the gardening. And this is how I want you to start thinking about physical activity as an opportunity, not as a chore. Okay? Who's heard that before? Think of physical activity as an opportunity, not a chore. So you guys understand, and we're going to talk about calories, because actually when I went to do some research on some calorie counters in relation to basic household physical activities, it was much easier to find American-based stuff which gave me calories rather than kilojoules. But I'm assuming most of you guys are pretty comfortable with calories. If you need to do the conversion, it's about 4.1 kilojoules to 1 calorie. And I'll convert some of them for you. So you guys understand the equation. X is the stuff we put in, the foods, the drinks, the lollies, the sweets, the cakes, the lettuce, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the whole shebang. The Y is the stuff we burn. Because you guys understand that even sitting here right now, here, today, you're still burning energy. Everybody's burning energy. The more active we are, the more types of activity we do, we burn energy at a different rate. Even sleeping flat out in bed, dead to the world at night, you're still burning energy. But the scale is from that sleeping sedentary, very low, to a more accelerated burn. The higher the energy, the more sweat on your brow, the more puff and pant in your chest. So you guys understand. I think I've got a thing here. Is that going to be my pointer? Yeah. So if X, the stuff that goes in, is greater than Y, what happens to the pair? The pair gets bigger. When X is less than Y, of course the pair gets smaller. When X equals Y, the pair stays the same. So let me just... this is going to be the death of me right here. This is what happens. Oh, I think I can do it off the top of my head. So on average, men consume about 2,500 calories per day. Women, about 1,700 calories per day. But how much energy do you think we all burn on average per day? I'll tell you, less, 1,600 calories. So after 5, 6, 7 years, you're going, oh, I just don't know. Why am I getting bigger? Commonly, it's because you're not matching up your calories in to your calories out. So we're going to talk about how to mix up some of this stuff. And I'm sorry that's a bit small, but what I've got is up there, I've got this chart which says 25 homemaking tasks that burn 100 calories, 12 minutes of carrying shopping, 15 minutes of moving furniture, 18 minutes of cleaning the gutters. My gutters are very high. I reckon I burn more calories than that just out of the stress. 18 minutes of mowing the lawn. So you can see what I'm trying to do for you here. I'm trying to convince you that some of these tasks around the house, 44 minutes of just basic everyday cooking burns 100 calories. 35 minutes of dusting. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. 30 minutes of playing with the children. 60 minutes of scrapbooking. I know who scrapbooks really. 25 minutes of vacuuming burns 100 calories. And what we do know, this stuff over here, this is some really well-proven data that, if I'm going to point this, it's that one, these two studies here, when we measure people's basic leg strength, their balance capacity and their walking speed, and we sum the scores all together, the people who perform right at the right-hand side of that scale, closer to 12, have a greater lifelong chance of resisting disability, institutionalisation and mortality. And the one at the bottom tells us a very similar story, that if those three components, your balance, your mobility and your leg strength are good, you also have a significant chance of resisting mobility, disability and disability. And if you want to get better at being able to walk, if you want to get better at being able to stand up and in and out of a chair, what are the things you should be doing? walking and standing up and in and out of a chair. Yeah. So the more you challenge these things, the longer you sit, and contrast, the more you challenge, the better off you'll be. You always got to point that way. So, good thing about the Australian guidelines for exercise is they are very physical activity orientated. So, they say that everybody should be involved no matter how old, what their weight, their health, or their health problems or their ability. Exercise, physical activity has benefits for everybody. Everybody should be active in a range of physical activities incorporating fitness, your walking, your strength, your chair standing, your climbing your stairs, your balance, you're doing a bit of work at the sink and you put one foot up and you stand on the sink and you challenge your single leg balance. You do a few stretching exercises, stepping exercises like that to try to challenge your balance as well. And your flexibility. The third one is that you should be doing 30 minutes of moderate intensity per day. Now, if you guys have heard me talk, you've heard me talk about the walk-talk test to measure your intensity. So who goes out for a walk? Who goes out for a walk with a mate? Who goes out for a walk with a mate and talks freely the entire time you're out walking? That's low intensity. Moderate intensity is when I've got to catch a breath every maybe 3 or 4 words. And then high intensity when I can't talk without catching a breath. And we all forget this. We all go out for these great leisurely walks. We do our half an hour of exercise. We come home. We do a bit more sitting. And then we become what is being coined as the active couch potato. So we're getting our walking. We go, tick, we've done that. We're going to check in for a bit of couch time now. And all those sedentary bad things that I talked about before, they're still catching up with us. So the last two are, if you've stopped, start again. Do it slow, do it controlled, get going, get into it. And the last one is, if you've been doing it vigorously, keep doing so. So, back to gardening. I know. Oh, my garden looked like that. I'm hoping I'll go around to Jerry's open days and that's what his garden looks like. So, gardening is amazing. I think gardening is fantastic. When Tamara and I bought our house, we spent all this time working in the garden, sweating it out and slogging it out to get it ready so that when we had kids and we didn't have as much time, we could pull out a weed every now and again, put in some new seedlings every now and again. And hey presto, Tam can make the meals like the meal she made for you today. No, I make meals as well. Just not as good as hers. So have a look at this. You know, how many of you guys are still working in your own gardens, maintaining your own yards, doing a bit of vegetable growing or just keeping flowers and trees and shrubs and herbs, shrubberies and stuff like that? Go back. We'll get to that slide in a second. So, where's my pointer? There it is. So look at this, 240 calories in 30 minutes of mowing the lawn. Heavy power tools, digging 200, laying sod, trimming shrubs. And some of those are very, very energetic, aren't they? They're quite hard, aren't they? But that's the point. The downside is when you don't do it often enough. When you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to take Tim's advice, I'm going to take Jerry's advice, I'm going to get out in the garden tomorrow. You pick up that 15 kilo bag of Bunnings potting mix and you go, oh, Jesus. So, my advice is start slow but set goals. Carry some small stuff, have a central gardening area, start to pot up some plants, start to grow some of your own vegetables and herbs if you're not doing it. If you are doing it, get back into the garden a bit more, trying to do something every day. Like, it'd be wonderful. Geez, I dream about having a garden like Jerry's garden. But for us, it's very time consuming to have a garden of that detail, but we still have quite a significant garden. So have quite a good garden that doesn't require a lot of watering, doesn't require a lot of care. But it's taken time, slowly but surely, we've created that garden for ourselves over time. And we're deeply involved in it, something we love to do as a family on the weekend. And I'm also talking about my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old who's now decided she wants to mow the lawn with me. Yeah, and as you go around the corner, it's going donk, donk, donk on her head, on the handle, and you're going, but she's like in there and she's going for it. So even for you guys, involving your family in that, the opportunity to bring your grandkids in to do those sorts of things with you. So this is a great photo, isn't it? That looks great. I wish I could do that in my back garden. I'm not sure how realistic it is. It's just something I pulled off Facebook. And it talks to you about Again, the energy expenditure related to gardening. Doing that basic in-home physical activity that you don't need to pay anybody to be your trainer, you don't need to pay for an exercise class, you don't even need to leave the house to get that level of activity. So there's lots of risks for dependency, chronic disease, and all these nasty things that Brian Herb was talking about earlier. Losses in muscle mass, losses in strength and then power that are going to affect your aerobic capacity, your blood volume, your bone mineral density. Who knows? Who understands the relationship between muscle mass and bone mineral density? Not enough of you. When you have bigger muscles, you have bigger bones. When you use your muscles to create contractions on a regular and ongoing basis, you have bigger bones. So when you don't make those contractions, when you don't train your muscles, what happens to your bones? Smaller. So these sorts of physical activities that we're talking about, getting out, walking around, doing the vacuuming, standing, even just resisting gravity and standing in the kitchen and doing some cooking, working in the garden, whether that be bending and standing to snip and cut and pull weeds, or whether it be carrying a small bag of potting mix around, or whether having a pot, transferring it around the garden, they all have the value to resist this loss of muscle mass, which will help you change your fall through all these contributing factors that lead into frailty, sarcopenia, falls, and loss of dependency. We've got data emerging now. We all go out to exercise. We all think to ourselves, we need to exercise, we need to burn some calories because we want to lose weight. And that's a great goal, but ultimately we're finding out more and more it's not the primary goal. The bigger our muscles, the better our muscles, the more capable our muscles. And I'm not talking about massive muscles by any means. We don't need to look like Schwarzenegger, but we need to have usable, capable muscles. And with that, we can resist mortality. Muscle mass is a low muscle mass is a more significant precursor to mortality than BMI. It can also help us resist dementia. We know the stronger you are, the more overall muscular capacity you have, the more you can resist dementia as well. 43% for one arbitrary unit increase in muscle strength. So, let's have a look at a basic equation again. Just to try to think about how you can change the way you're burning calories, the way you're interacting with your day, so that you can get some of the physical activity benefits that we've been talking about. Just give us a basic 8 hours sleep, 4 hours of sitting, which is half of what I presented to you for the norm for your age group earlier. Then about an hour of eating combined across 3 meals for the day. Bathing, about an hour. I think that's quite generous. So if I had an hour to get into the bath every day, that'd be fantastic. 3 minutes, great. Okay. Standing, just basic standing, transitioning from here to there. Even just when you're sitting and you think, I've been sitting for 40 minutes, I'm just going to stand up for a second, I'm just going to stand, and I'm going to sit down again. That's better than sitting for 50 minutes. You've been for your walk, you've been out for your half an hour to a bit more walk per day, and then you've done a few household chores. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to do vacuuming, cooking and gardening every day of the week, but mixing it up. Definitely, I know my wife would like me to do some sort of housework every day. So, a little bit of housework, might be dusting, might be cleaning, might be doing the washing, might be cleaning a window that you've been thinking about cleaning. Don't put it off, start thinking about doing it instead of putting it off. Bit of cooking, we've all got to cook. Tamara showed you some very short, sharp ways to cook a nice meal. And there's a variety of other things you need to do to pull into that as well, whether it be the cleaning up afterwards, the preparation beforehand, the shopping to bring everything ready for the meal, and then the gardening, the 2 hours of gardening a day. And I told you before, 1,600 calories per day is what we burn on average. And here, just by, I don't know where it is, it's over there somewhere. Little red dot and something over there somewhere. Here I've just increased your calorie burning by 1,000 calories by doing few interactive tasks around the house, which don't by any means need to be consecutive, but should be breaking up that sitting time that you're entering into. Okay, so James wants me to get off the stage. So barriers, there's heaps of them. I know there's heaps of them. Your health, there's no one to exercise with, the physical environment, accessibility, all that sort of stuff. These are battles you need to have for yourself, and Lisa talked to you about that earlier today. Nobody can help you, only you can help you. You've got to make this change. You've got to put yourself into that space to get more involved if you want the health benefits that come. And believe you me, the health benefits are there. You know, in the residential aged care I was in the other day, one of the ladies came in who was the daughter of one of the guys entering this exercise program. You know, 90-year-old man who was on death's door before he started this exercise program. Now he's walking again, he's socialising again. All his swollen toes and legs have gone down. His cardiovascular symptoms have decreased by half. His GP's going, oh my God, you're a new man. So if at 90 he can do it, you guys can all do it, can't you? Get involved. So, I don't know what depends women on. Happy wife, happy life. Yeah. I am happy to do my household tasks because I know it'll make my wife happy. And she can be really mean. She may not seem nice on the stage up here, but she can be really mean. So we don't actually have any questions now. We are going to do a panel. So hopefully I've generated some questions for you guys. Believe you me, you guys can all get involved. And often it doesn't take any more than just having a look around your house and thinking, I want to spend more time in my garden. How great, vitamin D out in your yard, doing something which can actually be brought back to your plate, interact with your grandkids. Cleaning your house, everybody loves a clean house. You know, going to the shops, being more social, challenging yourselves in those sorts of ways. So hopefully you guys are all ready to make that change. Thank you.